Holding up a mirror to companies, he inspires them to make simple changes to increase employee happiness and create an environment that fosters rather than suppresses creativity. Driven by his dream to see 40% of people cycling in London by the time he hits 80 in 80 years time? It's not surprising that Will is the Evening Standard's Progress 1000 list of influentials. Let's put our hands together for Will.
When I started, there were 27 of us in the company. We're now about 827. We've been on this journey, and it hasn't been fast. It's been Warren Buffett compound growth, bit by bit. And we basically had our head knee deep in the factory and fiddling around and trying to get the fatigue rig to work and working out designing new stuff and jigs, fixtures, all this stuff. And then after 3 or 4 years, somebody rocked up and said, you've been put into the Brandy Brand Award. We're like, dragging ourselves out of our boiler suit. Oh, the Brandy Brand Award, cool. Whoopee. So we went off to this thing, had a dinner, booze, and then somebody rocked up and said, you've won the Brandy Brand Award. Oh my God. We thought we were engineers. We're now a brand. We're cool. And then suddenly all these people popped up and said, I can help you with a brand. Oh, I can nurture your brand. Oh, we can do more brandy stuff. You can really be amazing together. The consultant. And we were like, oh God, brilliant. We love you. It's a great idea. Luckily in the morning we decided that's not what we wanted to do. What we actually want to do is make decent bikes. Yeah, that's it. Make a decent product. And not a product that's decent the day you buy it when you're all excited, but decent 5 years after you bought it, 10 years after you bought it. So we designed out obsolescence. We didn't design it in. We've got Brommies rolling around that are 30 years old, and we have spare parts and we can look after them. And sometimes we have to fiddle around with our design so we can still upgrade it.
And it's nice to think about equality, but often that kind of misses the bigger picture of the reality that we're operating in. And this is something for your local community, for your workers, and for your customers to be able to reckon with. It's not about giving everybody the same thing, because everybody's not the same. And that's okay, and actually that's fantastic, and that's a big part of life. It's a good thing for us to engage with. As we deploy more technology as well, it's something we can build for. That difference, we can wrap it in, we can have it represented and have it as part of our value chains. And it's a big word to use, it's kind of hard to do. It's a cool cartoon though to go and illustrate it. But I like to give folks kind of practical things. So if you're interested in delving a little bit more into what equity means and how you might apply that in your business setting, we at SMETS were part of a 4-year practice research collaboration with the Institute of Education a couple of years ago, and have this equity compass tool. It's kind of 8 ways for folks to think about how you can work equitably. So as an example, if we look at the green participation, are you doing things to your customers? Are you doing them for your customers, or are you doing them with your customers? And there's a difference. One of them is more equitable than the other. Or are you working over the short term, or are you working over the long term? If we look at the red bit, or are you looking at an individual, we go pink, or are you working with a collective? Are you seeing it as a community and each person is part of a community, or are you just thinking about individuals and working with individuals again? And it's a bit of a mind shift, a little bit of a change, but it's something that definitely can unlock the quality of how much we're B Corping, but also kind of evolving and improving things for the future.
We need to understand that we need nature in order to survive. We need to place planetary health at the very center of all the decisions we make going forward. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like the stopping of prioritizing profit, which yes, is important, but if we continue to prioritize it above the health of the planet and above societal well-being, the well-being of all of you as humans, as community, we are never going to solve this. We have got to stop adhering to a model that demands infinite growth, never stop growing on a planet that has finite resources. It simply doesn't make sense. And also stop adhering to measures of a country's success that were never designed for that purpose and are actually incredibly grossly inaccurate, like GDP. I could go on about that for an hour.
Well, too painful. But if it carries on like this, the consumer will not buy from the person who's doing the nasty stuff. So they're screwed. So they aren't at the moment because we're still buying cheap stuff, but it's coming. Second of all, digging something out of the ground, which is already aluminium, is a hell of a lot cheaper than digging it out of the ground and creating it from an ore and smelting it, all that sort of stuff. This stuff already exists. To munch it, laser it, and then heat it up again is cheaper.
I heard they have these big zinc piles
that they don't, it's more expensive to recycle the zinc piles. It's more expensive apparently to recycle the zinc piles, the waste zinc, than it is to dig out more zinc, for zinc anyway, I don't know.
So at the moment, we're getting into the detail, but at the moment, for us, it is way more expensive. But if we get scale, it'll be cheaper.
Well,
That's right.
but that's what
Let's go to the next question.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this notion and this idea that a lot of the things around inclusion can feel quite big, but actually are very small in every document, every meeting, every interaction that you have at work, and start small and it's easier for it to kind of compound and become big. The examples I give on the slide in terms of inclusion, those things around, what's normal in the policies or what aren't. I think, each of us has a sphere of influence. Work with that, experiment with the small, so then when you then do get to the bigger person that's in charge of this big organisation, it's not hard for you to do the right thing because you've already experimented with that influence when it's slightly lower risk. Why wouldn't you want to exercise that skill with the small so then you can do it big?
We're going to bring the formal speaking element to a close and move on to the more casual networking, vibing, catching up with the speakers.